Hi guys, this is Sam from Fluid Social talking to you from the front of my yacht in Canary Wharf. Today what I'm going to talk to you about is men who love women. Now there's this age-old phrase that women love men who love women, and for a lot of us guys we look at that and we say, yeah, nice one. That's like saying just be confident, just be more courageous. It's like, fine, that's great, but how? I want practical advice. Let me tell you how you can access this mindset without necessarily just practical steps. Not everything is something you can achieve by doing this or doing that. Some things really do require a change in perspective. So let's have a look at what this means. All of the great seducers of the past, if you take people like the idea of Don Juan, of Casanova, of Thoreau, the great seducers of the past, each one of them, what they had in common is that they loved women. When people ask them, what's the secret? Why do women seem to always want to be around you? What they would say is that it's because Casanova once famously said, it's because I fall in love with every single one of them, right? So what are they doing differently? When you think, oh, as soon as I fall in love with a woman, she runs away. She doesn't want me anymore. She loses interest. What were they doing differently, and what do they mean by what they said? Well, let's look at it, let's break it down a little bit and look at the component parts. When you say you love this woman, or you really want this woman, you really want to be around her, she's beautiful, she makes you want her, notice that it's coming from a place of possessiveness. You want her at the expense of everyone else not having her. You want her, and the idea of her being with someone else makes you feel bad. You want her, and you want her to be yours. You want to make sure she's under your control in some way. And now think about Casanova's example, where he knew that he could never have a woman, and the women knew that they could never have him. He was completely his own man, he was uncontainable, and he understood that they were also uncontainable. So let's look at what you're saying that you're in love with and what Casanova is saying he's in love with. And this actually hit me as sort of an epiphany yesterday. I already thought about this a lot, but I saw it through a new lens. A lot of the time when we become needy, when we become obsessive, when we get really sucked into the spell of one woman, what we're falling for is the material side. We're falling for her body, for her face, for what we see, for her physical presence. Now what Casanova and Don Juan were falling in love with is the energy, it's the mystique, it's what's beneath the surface. Now what's the main difference between these two things? Well, the physical can be contained and the spiritual cannot be contained. So though if someone is married, if you're married to a woman, you may think she's my woman, right? She is essentially my possession and I'm hers. We are together and we are each other's. On a physical level, that's very possible. She's not allowed to be with other men. She probably won't be with other men, and you won't be with other women. However, from a spiritual sense, there is no controlling her. There is no controlling her emotions. There is no controlling her mind. There is no controlling where her energy takes her, what she's actually, how she's moving through life, what she's focusing on. These things, the spiritual component, the energetic component, is what you cannot control. The physical you can control. So when you say that you love this woman or you want this woman, you may find that you're falling in love with the manifestation of the woman, but not the actual essence, not the femininity that's animating that manifestation. It's like falling in love with the stencil, with the penciled round version, and not the illustration in between, and not the actual art. So this is where we become possessive, which is extremely unattractive. And when you become non-possessive and in fact unpossessable, that's when women will fall in love with you as well. When they feel like you desire them so much, you appreciate their beauty, you appreciate their individuality, you listen to what they say, you revel in their beauty, but you have no desire to control them. And they also understand that they cannot control you. You are uncontrollable. You are your own person. You are not looking to get into some sort of possessive relationship where the two of you control each other's lives. You are simply here to fully appreciate that woman in the moment. And in so doing, she recognizes you as a guy who needs nothing from her. You are there to appreciate her, to love her, let's say, to make her better, to make her feel good. And in turn, she rewards you with femininity. She rewards you with that open smile, with that open body language, with that honesty, with that intensity, with everything that connects the masculine and feminine energy together. When the femininity is open, the masculine flourishes. When the masculine provides the stage for the feminine to open up, the masculinity is increased. The two flourish together, and there needs to be no preconceptions about masculinity. I'm not talking about the alpha male. I'm not talking about the 6'5" rugby player guy who wants to crush people's heads and go to war. Masculinity in its purest sense, which is the essence of a man who is present in the company of a woman. That is where the masculine and the feminine flourish together. So now let's look at a bit more at the actionable steps. What can you actually do to create this sense in your own life? Because it's easy for me to say it, but if you walk around and you still get possessive, you still look at women as something to win over as opposed to something to appreciate and to truly revel in and enjoy, how do you change your perspective so that you can love what is essentially feminine and not what is a physical manifestation of femininity? Well, it starts by seeking out beauty in all areas. So when you leave the house and you see a day like this, bright sunshine, water, beautiful buildings built by human hands, you go out and you seek out beauty in the day. You seek out what is poetic, what is beautiful. You see a scene and you appreciate it and you watch it and you're grateful for it. You seek out beauty in all its forms. Again, not just the obvious physical manifestations. Let's say a glamour model walks past covered in makeup with fake lips and fake breasts, and maybe that's what you like. That's not necessarily what I'm talking about when I say looking for beauty. You may see that woman and she looks stiff and rigid and maybe carrying a lot of emotional baggage, maybe some negative energy, but you don't notice because you're blinded by the curves and by the makeup and everything like that. And then next to her is a little old lady who is no typical conception of beauty, but upon her face is a warm, open, caring, maternal smile. And she has an open body language and she has this beautiful energy. Now, to me, that is a greater manifestation of beauty than the glamour model who has her face contorted and stiff and is carrying a negative energy. So when I talk about seeking out beauty, it's about looking beneath the surface. Again, Casanova did not just love the body of the woman, he found what was essential in her. And the same goes for you when you go out and you're seeking out beauty in your day. Seek out what is essentially beautiful. Seek out the little old lady with a warm heart and an open smile. And I'm not saying to go and try and talk to her, to go and try and get her number. I just mean to appreciate it, right? And telling her you have a beautiful smile is going to increase your masculine energy more than doing so with a woman who is not interested at all, has a bitterness about her and a negativity that she's carrying around. We are surrounded by beauty, and so often we fail to see it. So step number one, seek out beauty in all its forms. Look beneath the surface and find what is essentially beautiful. Step number two, revel in female feminine energy. When you go out and you meet a woman, give her the stage to bring her feminine presence out. So what do I mean by that? Well, a lot of guys, myself included in the past, you'd go up and you'd be thinking, how do I get better, right? I want to use these women as an opportunity to improve myself. They're essentially stepping stones. They're essentially pawns in your great game of self-development. Now, this mindset is based on shaky foundations. This is building your castle on sand, because the very act of going out and talking to women whilst ultimately focusing on yourself means that you cannot recognize the female energy. You cannot give her the space to bring out her own feminine energy. And so you will not actually find real connection and attraction. Have you ever noticed when you've gone out and you've gone up to talk to women because you want to make yourself better, because you want to get better at social skills, how each of the conversations feels a little bit empty? It feels a bit vacuous. It feels like there's no life animating it. Maybe you feel like a robot. Maybe you wonder why you're doing what you're doing because it doesn't seem to be working. Well, here's the thing that you're not remembering. If your focus is on you, there is no connection. If your focus is on you, she cannot find you attractive. She might see you as good looking. She might see you as a potential good partner in a logical sense in the future, but she cannot open up. she cannot become emotionally engaged. She cannot become her feminine energy when she is with a man who's focused on himself. So when you instead take all of the focus off yourself and you say, I am putting all of my focus onto this woman. I want to know who she is. I want to know how she speaks. I want to know her experiences. I want to feel her energy. I want her to open up to me. I want to share a moment. I want to know who she is. And when you go in, you hold the eye contact and you look to learn about her. You engage your genuine curiosity to learn about this individual whose life is as rich and detailed and vivid as your own. When you go out with that mindset, you are connecting. Even if you don't get a number, even if you don't get a date, even if you don't have sex in 2 weeks. This is what this process is about. This is what seduction is in its truest sense. It is a man who loves women. It is a man who goes out and expresses his love and gratitude to the women that he meets in the day, regardless of the outcome. He's not looking for quick lays. He's not looking for notches in his bedpost. He's going out to feel feminine energy, to seek out beauty, because in a very primal and poetic sense, he wants to live. He wants to feel the richness of life. So, step number 1, seek out beauty. Step number 2, revel in the female energy and encourage it. Give her a stage. And finally, step number 3, be bold. Now, this is where the masculine component really comes into play. How do you engage your masculine component? Well, so often we go out and we talk to girls and we have this sort of small talk at the start. We think that it's about, lowering all defenses and being nice and making things easy at the start. And it's a very easy trap to fall into when you're going out as a hobbyist and talking to women as a hobby. However, when you go out with the sole intention of getting to know who she is, not what school she went to, not what she does for work, but who she is as a person, how she responds to information, what are her real experiences, how does it feel to be her? You be bold. You go out and you say what you want to say. The most important part of this is trusting that she has a sense of humor. When you speak to her, you're teasing her not from a place of trying to show that you're confident, not from a place of knocking her down so that she sees you as higher value or proving that you're confident enough to tease, but teasing her from a place of saying, I know you've got a sense of humor. I know you're fun. I can see it. I can see that you're mischievous. I can see that you've got a fun spirit inside of you. And I want to bring that out. So I'm going to throw little teasers at you. I'm going to tease you about maybe the shoes that you're wearing or the way that you carry yourself. And when you hear that, you're going to see in my face that I mean you no harm, that I want to see you flourish with me, that I want to connect with you. And as you hear these words, your sense of humor is going to come out and I'm going to experience you in all your glory. That is the essence of teasing. That's why teasing works. That's why these keep giving people nice, sincere compliments. Why does it not work? Well, because she knows that that is actually the true manipulation. The teasing is not the manipulation. The manipulation is saying, I think that if I give you all these compliments, you're going to see me as someone that's nice and trustworthy, and then I'm going to be able to swoop in and get inside your pants or possess you in a long-term relationship. Whereas the man who confidently teases from a place of goodwill, he says, I don't want to possess you, and you're never going to possess me. I just want to flourish in this moment. I want to have this dance of masculine and feminine with you in this moment. And I know it's in you, so let's bring it out together. That's what the man is saying when he teases, despite the fact that it shows he has options, he has experience, he's not desperate for anything because he doesn't need to layer anything on top of his current experience. Now, the second part to being bold is not apologizing for something that you've said in goodwill, right? Now, this may sound a little controversial. However, if you say a tease and a girl purposely misinterprets it, let's say she does that faux shock, like indignation that you've said something. If your intention was clearly to say something from a place of goodwill and it is misinterpreted, and then you apologize and say, sorry, I didn't mean it like that. I was trying to joke. The fact that you are now apologizing for it is going to increase that indignation. But if you make it worse, let's say you've said something like about her hair and how she looks completely charming with the bird's nest hair. It's perfect on her, right? And she has faux indignation. You should not apologize for having said that. Your job now is to take it a step further and show that you really don't mean any harm, right? You're having fun, and you know that she can have fun too. You're trusting that she knows how to deal with this, that she is testing you, right? That she's saying, okay, is this guy gonna break and start apologizing and become slightly repulsive? Or can he own what he said and prove to me that he knows what he's saying and he believes it and he believes in the intention that he's got? And so be bold and don't apologize for it, right? From a place of goodwill, trust that women, being very perceptive as they usually are, can understand when you're saying something offensive and when you're saying something playful and teasing. And very often that moment of faux indignation, it's not always faux indignation, but you know when it is, when someone acts shocked, when in reality they know what you meant. Don't give in at that point. Don't start apologizing for what you haven't done wrong. Saying sorry in that moment makes you weak internally and in the eyes of the woman. But taking it a step further, looking at her again in that way, trusting that she knows what she's doing and that she knows what your intention was, and making it even worse, saying something even more ridiculous about yourself, self-deprecating humor, teasing genuinely and from a place of goodwill. So, step number 1, seek out beauty. Step number 2, revel in the feminine and give it a platform. Step number 3, be bold and do not apologize for being bold. You are not looking to possess women. You should not be thinking, as soon as you find yourself thinking like, oh, how do I get this girl? How would I get a girl like this in a relationship with me? As soon as you start focusing on any element of possession, the true attraction falls apart. Because what you're really falling for when you think you're falling for the physical is something essentially expressed through the manifestation of the physical. And as soon as you want to possess it, that thing dies. The ancient Buddhist quote was that if you see a beautiful flower, do not pick it, because if you pick it, it dies. Watch it, appreciate it, and let it be. I'm paraphrasing, you get the idea. I hope this video has been helpful, guys. The 6-week course is coming out next Monday, the 13th of September. It's going to be 6 weeks. I'm going to take 2 weeks off after, so 2 months later in November, the second round is starting. We've got 3 spots filled, 2 spaces left. If anyone's interested, get in contact with me in the link below the description. We can talk about it, set your goals, I can answer any questions. There's no pressure on the course at all, and I really look forward to seeing you guys there. Again, Sam from Fluid Social, out.